Okay, today we're going to go over Esau and Jacob. Esau and Jacob, and how it's about prayer and it's about creation as well. Now, I know most people have heard of Esau and Jacob, the story that Esau gave up his birthright for some food, and Jacob tricked his dad to give him the birthright that really belongs to Esau. Um, and a lot of times people play on that, saying that Jacob is the trickster, and at the end of the story, the trickster ended up getting tricked and all this stuff. But why did God favor Jacob? Say he favored Jacob. Even when Rebecca was having birth pains, you can find it in Genesis around the 25th verse. I believe it's in around the 25th verse. When Rebecca, Esau's wife, was having birth pains, there you go, you can see me better. They said that you are having, you have two nations inside of you warring. It didn't say two children, it said two nations inside of you warring. So what that mean? And what that have to do with prayer and creation? But when you pray, you're basically asking for something to be created, whether it's health, whether it's finance, where you want your finances to get better, or a relationship to get better. You're trying to, you're asking for something to get better, or to create something to make it better, right? Okay. That's just in a small frame. You want things to get better. In fact, in Genesis 25, 23rd verse, it says, the Lord said to her, and because she was asking why she was struggling. In fact, let's go up to the 21st, 22nd verse. It said, but the children struggled together within her, and she said, if all is well, why am I like this? So she went to inquire to the Lord. So she asked, and the Lord said to her, two nations are in your womb, not two children, two nations, not two babies, two nations. Put that in your pocket. Hold on to that, okay? Two nations, not two children, two nations. All right. And then he said, two people shall be separate from your body. Now he changed it to two people shall be separate from your body. One people will share, or shall be stronger than the other. So one person will be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. So one is going to be stronger than the other. One nation is going to be stronger than the other, but the older is going to serve the younger. Now, most traditional times, the older actually got served by the younger. The firstborn get the birthright. That's why you probably got an older brother or older sister that that acts like they got that chip on their shoulders because they came out first. They got that. It just I don't know. It's like an ego thing. I don't know. I know I have that in my family. So anyway, it's funny though, and I mean it with love. But they said the older is going to serve the younger. It's right there in Genesis 23. Okay. And then it says, so when her days were filled for her to give birth, when she got up to the point of having birth, she indeed had twins, just like it was said. And the first came out. Now let's listen to this carefully. It said the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment. He was like a hairy garment. Let me say that again. He was like a hairy garment all over. So they called him Esau. He was hairy. Okay, red and hairy. Okay. 26th verse said, after his brother came out, his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So he was holding on to the heel like that. All right. You know, some kind of way, holding on, you know, I don't know, holding one hand or two hands, but he was holding on to the heel. So his name was called Jacob. Esau was 60 years old when she was born. I mean, Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So he was 60 years old. So he was a senior citizen, you know, in our dating time. He was senior citizen. Okay, now let's go back and look at this under the microscope that a lot of times most people miss. It said Esau had a hairy garment. What is a garment? This body is called a garment. This body is called a temple. It is also called a garment. So what it's telling you is that one of them, Esau and Jacob represents parts of you. Esau is the outer part of you, the part that is physical. You know, you have a little hair, you know, on your arm. I know ladies, you shave, but you know, if you didn't shave, you have hair on your legs. You may have hair on your chest, hair definitely on your head and stuff. I got a little bit still there. And, but you know, you're hairy. What it was telling you, it was giving you a physical form of what Esau represents. He represents the physical side of you. This physical side of you. His side is strong and everything, right? All right. Esau represents the physical form of you. Okay. Now look at Jacob. Let's talk about Jacob. Jacob, he was direct opposite. He wasn't very hairy. He was, you know, he was real slick and smooth, right? Okay. Jacob also, let's talk about his name, you know, because he said he held on to him, Jacob, so they named him Jacob. Jacob, you know, in the Bible, they call him the supplanter. The supplanter. So what do that mean? Supplant what? Let me put this over here. Supplant what? Let's go into Jacob right quick. And I have my notes down right here. Jacob, the supplanter. Supplanter means to take the place of or set aside. To take the place of something or to set it aside. Now hold on to that thought. To take the place of something or set it aside. That's one definition. The second definition is to take the place of by unfair method or by treachery. To take the place of by some unfair method or treachery. Okay. All right. The third one is, for supplanter, definition is remove from position, to get rid of, to joust. Push out the way. To knock out the way. So to move from or replace from a position. And we know in this story, Jacob surely did that. And they say that he stole the birthright. He tricked the birthright. Well, Esau gave it up. How can you steal something that you gave up? You know, but anyway, but they said he tricked him out of his birthright. Okay. And then, see, Jacob represents the inner you. The inner you, the inner side of you. That when you hear a voice tell you, don't do that. In the Old Testament, Jacob represents that. Now in the New Testament, you know, the name changes to Jesus. You know, Jacob's name changes to Israel. And then it eventually in the New Testament, it changed to Jesus, right? Okay, what those two was fighting for was birthright, okay? There was two nations, it said two nations and you warring. What they was warring for was birthright. Now let's go down to right here. It says Jacob sells his birthright, okay? It was over some stew. I'm not going to read it, but basically, Jacob, this part I do want to read. It said, now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came from the field, and he was weary. When you live as Esau, and you live your life as Esau, Esau is the dominant person that you choose to live as, well, yeah, you're going to work by the sweat of your brow. Yeah. And you're going to manifest through hard work and labor. And you're going to be weary from that work. You know, I can change that 29th verse when it says Jacob cooked a stew and Esau came in from the field and he was weary. I can change that to Esau came in from work and he was tired of his job. Esau came in from working on the plant or working at this office and he was weary. You know, when you work as Esau, you work on when you live as Esau, what I'm trying to say, when you live as Esau, what you do is you work by your physical hand, and you know, whether it's at a plant or whether it's in the office, whether you physically work, you don't work by your consciousness. You don't use your consciousness the most. Go after your dream and manifest that dream. You know, you believe, therefore you receive. You know, that type of belief, you act as if you already received it. So then you don't have to work as hard. Creation is already finished. It's right there in Genesis 1, and I believe it's the second and third verse. It says that God had rested from everything he had created and made. So created for everything that was created and made. So creation is finished. But if you want to go the Esau route, you're going to always come in weary from the field. The field could be whatever job you on, even if you have your own business, and but you have your own business structured like Esau, you're going to be weary. That's why a lot of people end up quitting their own business and start working at a job. And then they hate that too. And then you start living for the weekend. Believe me, I've been there, done that plenty of times over. I know, still feel the sting from it sometimes. Okay, so it said, and Jacob said to Esau, please feed me with that same red stew, and he said, for I am weary. That's the reason why I'm only reading that part. He said, for I am weary. When you get so tired of living a life that you physically worn out, you know, or you can be working at an office, you know, on a computer the whole time. And you can just work on the computer. But mentally, you're wore out. You feel it on the outside. You see it in your face. Your age before you look older than what you need to look. Stuff like that. Gray hair popping off everywhere. Hair falling out of your head. Stuff like that. And you don't even have no children. So you can't put it on, I have these kids. And if you do have children, you know, because you're living as Esau. You're choosing to do it on your own, to push your way, to push your way, to push your way. You know, you living by that song, that old song, me, myself, and I, all I got in the end, that was I found out. You're living your life like that. And you have Jacob inside of you, which is translated in the New Testament is Jesus is inside of you, okay? You have that inside of you. All that is inside of you. Jesus is within. And you're not even using them. Now they're battling for birthright because you hear that voice telling you to do this and do that, but you don't have the courage because you go, I need my job. You know, I can't lose this good paying job, you know, but they're telling you to step out and do this. And it's not going to yell at you. Well, most of the time, it's just going to whisper to you real smooth. Just like Jacob, he's real smooth and slick. He's going to just whisper it to you, okay? But you remember, Esau wasn't all hairy and all the physical form. He wasn't that. He was real smooth, okay? But anyway, when you're weary and you're sick, you start doing silly stuff. You start doing stuff, you give away your own birthright. And it says, therefore, his name was called Eden. They took him all the way back to Eden, okay? He said, but Jacob said, sell me your birthright at this day. And Esau looked and said, I'm about to die. So what is a birthright is to me? And he swore that day that he would give it to Jacob. All right. Remember, both of them warring. So they said, you know what, Jacob, that was low down on Jacob. He could have gave his brother something to eat. The prophecy from God was they're warring. So in war, ain't no, you ain't sitting there trying to compromise. You trying to get it, you trying to advance. This is war. So they're warring. What they're warring for? They're warring for birthright. Two nations inside of you warring. In your womb. Okay? Let's keep going and find out what this has to do with prayer. Now you see what it means. It's a metaphor. Esau is a metaphor for the outer you, this part. And Jacob is a metaphor for the inner you, that consciousness. Jacob is the metaphor for consciousness. Imagine the thing and that it'll be established for your sake. Jacob represents the inner you, the inner man. Okay, the last Adam. Okay. Let's move on to the next one when we get into the nitty-gritty part, okay? Let's go up here and go to, let's try the 26th verse. So we know that in this, Jacob ended up getting the birthright. His mother Rebecca, here's Isaac. Isaac was getting old, and his mother heard Isaac told Esau, but Isaac favored Esau, and told Esau basically to go out and fix me some food, some venison, and with that I will give you, give you the birthright. I will bless you with the birthright, right? And Esau went out there and hunt. But before we get into that part, let's just take our time, because we move so fast and we forget the secrets that are in there. All right. If you look at the 27th verse about Isaac, let's talk about Isaac. Well, Isaac represented God. He was a metaphor for God in this passage, in this story. It said, now it came to pass when Isaac was old and his eyes was dim, he was going blind, okay? That he could not see, that he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, my son, and he answered, here I am. And basically, like I told you, he told him to fix him something and, fix him some food, some venison, and basically I will bless you with the birthright, okay, after you go on hunt and fix my favorite dish, okay? All right, but look at this part. I want to bring your attention to the part that it said in the 27th verse, 27:1, it said, now it came to pass when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim that he could not see. So you got that. What that means is that it's a metaphor for God. Now God, and I know you're saying, well, God can see. What you talking about? What it means that he got blind, that he could not reason. The universe doesn't reason. When you constantly saying that you sick and tired of this, you sick and tired of that, and I'm tired, you use the word I am tired of, sick and tired of this, that, and the other, you get more of it. You keep getting more of it. The universe, God, keep giving you more of it. Why? Even though you don't want it, but you keep asking for it by talking that way and feeling that way, that you get more of it. It's not reasoning with you. It's just giving you what you ask for. It says ask and it's given. So it's in your type of asking. You see your check, you see your bills, and you get disgusted and you feel like you never can find a way out of it. Where are you going to get more of it? Why? It's because, and I will really cover that next week and explain all of that. But so if that's you, tune in next week at 10 o'clock, and we'll nail that one down and get that one out of your life. That's a deep one. That's the story between Jesus and Barabbas. Okay, but anyway, if you keep feeling like that things will never get better, and you sing songs like Living for the Weekend, and you singing songs, me and my wife was talking about it yesterday. We love Frankie Beverly and Mays, but it's a song in there called Joy and Pain, like sunshine and rain. And we used to love that song. But in the lyrics, it basically talking about how for every good thing, there's a bad thing. For every time you get a good paycheck, you get more bills, And so, it's like they said, it ain't one thing, there's another. You don't have to believe, you don't have to live by that. You don't have to live by that. You can live by glory and more glory. You don't have to live by that. And me and my wife is a testament to that. We don't went from, it ain't one thing, it's another. In fact, it's two nothers. One step forward and 20 steps back. We live by, we used to believe that. So we had to delete those type of thinking. And now we was talking about that song, like we can't listen to stuff like that no more. Cause it gets in your psyche, and and you, and then you embody that. And then next thing you know, for every good time you have or a good thing that happens to you, like you get a raise, but your rent go up, your taxes go up, your house payment somehow, doubled or something like that, or your power bill went up or something like, it's something bad happens. So you have to delete and get rid of that type of, thought. And then you say, but it is real. I see it all the time. What is real is in the eye of the beholder. And if you see it all the time, you're saying that's real, tune in next week and I explain to you how you work that out of you, in the story of Jesus and Barabbas, okay? So anyway, Esau represents the inner man. In fact, the Bible said Esau lived in a tent. Not Esau, I'm sorry. Jacob is the inner man. And Jacob lived in a tent. That's what the Bible said, that Jacob lived in a tent. Okay? That tent was Esau. I know this. The tent that the Bible was talking about was Esau. Esau is the outer man. Jacob is the inner man. So the tent or the garment, that's why it said Esau's body was like a garment. So he was talking about the outer body, a garment. It's like a tent. One translation said Esau lived within a tent. That's in Hebrews 11, I believe. It said that Esau was like a tent, lived in a tent. And that tent is, Jacob lived in a tent. I keep calling Jacob Esau. Jacob lived in a tent, and that tent is Esau. Esau is the outer man. Jacob is the inner man. The inner man always wins in the end, the inner man. But when you get to a point, you're going to go within and trust it because you have nothing else to lose. You get to the point, you blow your top and you have nothing else to lose. And then you go within. You don't have to get to that point. For some people, they get to that. They have to get to that point. All right. So going into what does it have to do with prayer, before we get to that part, let's get down to the part where he gets the blessing. He said, bring it near to me and I will eat of my son's game, so my soul may be blessed. So he brought it near to him and he ate it, and he brought him wine and drink. Then his father Isaac said to him, come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled, and the smell of the clothing and and blessed him, saying, surely the smell of my son is like the smell of the field, which is the Lord has blessed. Therefore, may God have give you one of the dew of the heaven and the fatness of the earth and the plenty of the grain and wine. Basically, he was giving him the blessing. And all of that, basically, he was going through the process of giving him the blessing. He said, now it happened, and as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had surely gone out from the presence of Isaac, his father, Esau, his brother, came in from hunting. Now, reason why I'm skipping over this, I'm taking it that you heard of the story, because basically Isaac went out hunting to get the food and to get the game to make this stew for his dad, his favorite dish, right? Okay, while he was out there hunting, his wife Rebecca heard Isaac out there talking to Esau, and she wanted Jacob to have the blessing. Jacob, she made a stew and told Jacob to put on this fur that felt like Esau, and basically disguise yourself as Esau to your dad, because he couldn't see, he couldn't reason, he couldn't see, right? And basically he said, in the passage, he said, you sound like Esau, but you feel like Jacob. It's up there in 22, verse 22, it says, so Jacob came near to Esau, his father, and he felt him and said, the voice of Jacob, but the hand was the hands of Esau. So he recognized the hands of Esau. So basically he said, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. Now listen to this carefully. So this has to do with prayer. You sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. You sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. Yeah, Lance, I hear that. What they got to do with anything? Okay, let's tiptoe over to Acts 17, the 27th verse. Let's go to the 27th verse. It says, so that, here it is, right here. I'm gonna highlight it. Okay. It said, so that they shall seek the Lord. They were talking about prayer. This is how you pray. So that they may seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope from him and find him. Other words, in some translations, it depends on what translation you're in. In the regular King James translation, let's see, can we go to the regular King James translation? It said that you may feel after him. Let's go to the 27th verse. Here it is. It said that they seek the Lord, if happily they may feel after him. Remember he said you feel like Esau? Is according to the feeling. So if you're praying and asking God to help you be healed, but you feel like you're not going to be healed, well, you're not going to be healed. You're just wasting your time. Okay? You know, you have to feel that you already are healed. That's why he said those who believe that they already is, whatever they ask for, they'll get. But you got to believe that you already received it. In order to believe that you already received it, you must feel like you already have it. Then you'll get it. You must feel like it first before you get it. And that's what he did. He felt like Esau, even though he sounded like Jacob, it was according to the feeling he got the blessing. According to the feeling, you get the blessing from God on the inner side, according to the feeling. So you got to remember, there was fighting for birthright. Now say birthright. Say it real slow. Birthright. Okay? Birthright. There was fighting for the right to give birth in this time-space reality, in this dimension. In this physical dimension, both of them was fighting to give birth. Esau had the upper hand because he was already physical like this dimension. Okay? And he knew how to master this dimension and work in it. He knew to go out there and work the fields and do all that. He was great at it. He knew how to be human. But the Bible says in John 10:34 that you are gods. It's also said that in Psalms 82:6. It said that you are gods and you are descendants of the Most High. So you're good at being a human and how to physically do all this stuff, but are you just as good as in the spiritual side of being God and how to manifest things on this earth? See, there was fighting for birthright. One wanted to do it, want to give birth to whatever creation in the physical form on this, in this time, space reality, Esau. And then you have another side of you that wants to give birth to your dreams that you have, even though you may be working at a plant, but your dream is to have your own business as a, I don't know, as a welder, or as a plumber, or as a lawyer, I don't know, or as an artist, painting, drawing, I don't know, a cartoon artist, you know, that could be your dream. Well, you can give birth to that, you know, but you gotta trick the Esau into selling that right, because he came first. You have to trick the Esau in your consciousness in order for Jacob to take over. And soon when Jacob get the blessing and give birth to something, guess who shows back up? It said that Esau came, soon when Jacob had went away, Esau showed right back up. The physical part of you shows right back up. You know, the ego and all this stuff shows right back up. And then the wrestle goes again. Constantly wrestling for birthright. They wrestling for the right to give birth in this time-space reality that we in this physical form that we're in, this matrix, if you will, that we're in this physical reality, in this time reality. You know, they're fighting for birthright. That's what it means by that. And Esau shows you how to do it physically, and Jacob shows you how to do it spiritually, and he did it through prayer. Jacob showed you how to get it through prayer. That's why it says asking is given. Okay, he just asked for the birthright, and he gave it to him. If Esau's so big and bad, he could have took the stew from Jacob, but Jacob asked for it, and he gave it to him. And that's what it said. Tell you in prayer. In prayer don't have nothing to do with all these words and then put your hand together and get on your knees like you begging. You don't have to beg God. He's a wonderful father. You don't have to beg your earthly father. How many times you got on your knees and begged him? He gave it to you. He gave you a roof over your head, food in your mouth, you know? And so your heavenly father love you even more than that, okay? So that's why I say just asking is given, but it's how you ask. You ask by feeling that you already have received it. That's what the scriptures say. The scriptures can't be broken. Everything has to add up. The Old and the New Testament have to add up. You can't throw away one and keep the other. It all add up. And it shows you how to pray right here in Acts 17:27. It said that they shall seek the Lord if they happily. You don't come to the throne room speaking, well, Lord, I come to you as humble as I know how. It said, make your great or joyful noise unto the Lord. It comes, in the courtroom with praise and all that. Not humble, I know how. I'm just a dirty wretch and I don't deserve nothing. Well, you ain't gonna get nothing. Everybody pray like that, they look broke and their life look tore up. Yes, I said it. You can tell them I said it. So anyway, it gets to me. It really gets to me because I grew up around stuff like that. But anyway, it tells you to come to the throne boldly. They always say, if happily they may feel after him and find him, though that he be not far from any one of us. It says any one of us. So it's not that you got to go to some priest. He's right there in you. Right there in you. But you've been taught that you got to go to church and talk to the priest and talk to the preacher and then he pray for you. It said It says right there in the scripture, and the scripture cannot be broken. So it's either you believe it or not. You believe in your religious ways, or you believe that the scripture says what it says right there. You go and look in your book. It says it's not far from any one of us. Okay? Now, this is in the New Testament. Now, the question, someone's going to say, well, where's that in the Old Testament? Okay, let's go. Psalms 4. Here's the 44, right? Psalm 4:4. It says, stand in awe. Sin not. Sin not don't mean any moral thing. It means to don't miss the mark. Okay? That's what sin means. Sin means to miss the mark. Sin not means to don't miss the mark. It says, stand in awe and sin not. Commune in your own heart. Not in the priest's heart, in confessions that you see on TV at some places, or go and ask somebody else to pray for you. You got to tell, you got to confess to, this priest. It said commune in your own heart. In other words, in the New Testament, in Matthew 7, it tell you to go into the closet, and people literally go inside of a physical closet. Crazy. It means to go into yourself, for God is within you. It says that in Corinthians, I think it's 2 Corinthians 3:16, or is it 1 Corinthians 3:16? Where it says God dwells within you. Okay? So it said commune in your own heart, upon your bed. Not on your knees at your bed. It said upon your bed. So you just sit on your bed, commune in your own heart like this. Sound like meditation on it. Okay, and he said, be still. Selah. In other words, think about it. So that's prayer. You're feeling your way by being still and communing in your own heart. You're seeking for Jacob to override this Esau. The Esau stuff is this physical stuff, whether the physical stuff be a burden that you're dealing with, illness you're dealing with, a financial trouble you're dealing with, whatever, you want to override the physical and give birth to the spiritual. And that's birth in this time, not later on, but in this time space reality. That's what they were fighting for, birthright, the right to give birth now. One want to do it the physical hard way, the other one to manifest it in the spiritual way through the kingdom of God. Because the kingdom of God dwells within you. You can look at Luke 17, I believe 20 and 21. Luke 17, just look up there and you'll find it, okay? That's what it was trying to tell you. But people made it into this little Mother Goose, Dr. Seuss type of story that benefits no one. That's the whole story of Esau and Jacob, is that you have both of them inside of you, warring. What they're warring for is birthright. How you know Esau is the outer man? Well, it says right there in the Bible, in the 25th verse, 25th chapter, it said when he gave birth to him, his body was red, and it said that it had a hairy, it was like a hairy garment. A garment is all over you, okay? This body is a hairy, it ain't that much hairy no more, but it is a hairy garment that has blood in it. You go like you cut me, it bleeds, okay? And so it's red. It has blood in it, okay? Some people try to make it racial. No, it's about you, okay? You. That's the Esau side, the physical side. Then you have a spiritual side. That's why it was so smooth. Anytime that, like say you at the nightclub, if, when you was young, like in your 20s, or if you're in your 20s now, you're at the nightclub or something like that, and then all of a sudden something inside of you just say, let's go. And you be like, no, I rode with, Keisha and them, or I rode with my boys, and they go, let's go. And it says it real smooth, let's go. Go, or something like that. And then you find yourself leaving, then next thing you know, it was a ride out there for you to catch or something like that, or you drove yourself, and you find out that later on the next day or that night, that it was a shootout, or the building caught on fire. Something tragic could have happened and you would have been there, but it told you to go. It don't say it from the outside like Hollywood, like a light shine on you while you're in the nightclub just dance, having a good time, and then a light shine on you and go, ooh, you must leave, my son. It don't say that. Hollywood have us thinking, and a lot of stuff have us thinking. Traditional religion have us thinking there's an outward voice. It's an inner voice. Every time you heard from the Lord, it was on the inside. Every time you heard from Jesus, it's from the inside. That's Jacob. It just called it Jacob in this space in the Bible, and in Genesis, in this parable, if you will, or in this story, or in this block. It was called Jacob. Jacob was a representative of Jesus inside of you. Esau was a representative of the outer yourself, whoever you may be, okay? And then Isaac was a representation of God, that he was blind, he did not reason. He did not reason, he felt his way. And then he blessed according to the feeling. Remember, the scriptures cannot be broken. So it showed you, and I just showed you in the New Testament, how you pray. You feel your way to it, okay? And then I showed you also in the Old Testament, it's the same thing. You contemplate in your own heart while you're sitting on your bed. So it even told you what to do. It knew that people are going to be all on the floor, rolling around and stuff, and then they brag about it. I was on my knee for 3 hours last night, stuff like that. I grew up around stuff like that. But it told you to sit on your bed, contemplate in your own heart. Right there. Stand at all and sin not. Commune in your own heart upon your bed and be still. Selah. So anyway, that's a synopsis of the story and what it really means with Jacob and Esau. And that's why Jacob is called the supplanter, because he can supplant in front of the physical. The physical trying to do this, but if you choose the spiritual can override the spiritual can override the physical and supplant what it wants to give birth to on this planet. Like for me, what I am is a spiritual lecturer. I teach the Bible through lecturing, and I'm a spiritual teacher and coach. I coach people one-on-one, and also I lecture groups, large and small. And so I'm a teacher, okay? And I teach it. I teach it the way that it's supposed to be taught, not tradition. I teach it the way it's supposed to be taught, the right way, okay? And that right there was my dream, to do that. And I couldn't see myself. The Jacob inside of me was ruling, and I found myself doing all kind of stuff. Now, I'm not trying to belittle no type of employment. You start where you start off at, okay? But if your dream is to be something else, well, you're missing the mark. You're sinning. We've been taught that sinning is something that you do immoral. Like, you whistling at this woman and you're married, okay? All right, you're missing the mark. Then it's about missing the mark. If your dream is to be a dancer, and you say, I'm too old now because I have children and all this stuff, and you chose, because you say you're too old, you're looking at the physical side, And you saying I don't gain weight. You're looking at the physical side. So you keep looking at Esau, and you giving birth to Esau, the physical. But you can override that by looking at the Jacob side. You say, even though I'm old, even though I've gained weight, even though all this stuff, I'm still going to live my dream and still dance and start seeking things out. And you'll find people out there willing and able to help you if you start seeking it out. And next thing you know, it'll go slow. And next thing you know, it'll start snowballing, get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you'll be quitting your job and you living your dream. But you have to constantly choose Jacob. You have to constantly choose Jacob, Jacob, Jacob. And some stuff you can't subscribe to that's on social media and on TV and stuff, because you have to guard their ear gate and the eye gate all the time, because it's telling you what you can't be and what you shouldn't be, and it's telling you all this other stuff that denies your birthing of what you desire to have, what you desire to create or manifest in your life. Okay. So that's the parable, and that's the story of Esau and Jacob. Now, I want to change gears for a second and go over next week's lesson at 10 a.m. If you are dealing with, let's say, every time you get a paycheck, whether you're getting paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever, and every time you get a check, and it's never enough, and you feel like there's no way out, tune in next week. That's why I say this one for last. We have to go over the story of Jesus and Barabbas. And it will help. This story will help you choose, help you fix, and to help you see what you've been choosing all your life, and you didn't know it. I didn't know it. I was choosing it all my life and didn't know it. I didn't know I was making a choice on it. So I'm not going to spill the beans, but if you are, trying to advance yourself and trying to better yourself and your family, and you can't see no way out of it or where you are, tune in next week. If you know somebody like this, and if you give a crap about them, tell them to tune in next week. Only thing you have to do is register. It's free, okay? But tune in next week. It's on the 25th at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Most of the time you're sitting in bed. If you're not out with your children, it's worth putting off grocery shopping until you get this, okay? So most likely you're not gonna hear this at the church unless they copy off of what I just taught, okay? Because this is not religion. This is not traditional. This is not constantly talking about the devil. Okay, this is just helping you advance. I always been amazed at how people know so much about the devil and less about God. Is it because you hang out with that all the time and not with God all the time? I'm just saying, how I know more about the enemy, what they call the enemy. If I'm not, and I'm an expert on it, I already know what he's trying to do. Because he's trying to do this in my family. He's trying to, how you know that much? Unless you really, really close to him, that you know what he's trying to do and what he's thinking. Really? So if you're tired of all of that stuff, you're tired of looking at your paycheck and just get disgusted with your life. I've been there. The reason why I'm saying that, I've been there, and I care about the ones that, are still living like that. You're looking at your paycheck and you look at your bills and you're like, hey, even when you're working 2 and 3 jobs, it's still not adding up. Like I should advance. You should not have one happy time in your life, and that's doing income tax season. That's the only time that you can get a little ahead and be able to buy yourself something and have a little something. And then the rest of your life, Rest of the year, you suffer because you're always robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay? If that's you, tune in next week, 10 o'clock on the 25th, 10 to 11, 1 hour. Invest in yourself. Stop in, you invest in shoes, you invest in a TV, especially during income tax season, or you invest in all that, but when are you going to invest in yourself? When are you going to invest in your inner self? You're not investing in yourself when you buy yourself some clothes. When are you going to invest right here that can get you everything you desire and your children? So invest in yourself. Tell everybody. You can have a group meeting. We can have, it's not a limit, to the people. You want to have 100 people on here, we can have 100 people on this lecture. But if you want out, we'll see how bad you do. If you still complaining, but you're not going to do anything about it, well, stay there. And good luck with that. And then you're going to pass that on to your children, because your children are going to see that you didn't do anything else about it but complain. So they're going to do nothing about it but complain. You may get one that get away and do something about it. Usually it's one out of a generation, that gets out. Okay? And also, if you're dealing with illnesses, and you need healing, but the doctor keep telling you this, and you hearing this from the doctor, and you can't see no way past it because the doctor's telling you, seeing on the paperwork, and you hearing what the doctors are telling you. Please, next week on the 25th at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., you need to hear about Esau and Jacob. And you realize what you're choosing and how you can heal yourself. Is there anything too hard for the Lord? And he resides within you. So why don't you activate the kingdom of God that's inside of you? It's not outside of you, it's in you. The Bible said the kingdom of heaven is not by observation. You can't see it. He said, did you not know that the kingdom of heaven is within you? It's in you. But how do you access it? How can you get it? Well, it was right there in the story of Jesus and Barabbas. And we missed it. So you're not going to find this at a church. So tune in next week. Whatever you're dealing with. So, and if you're waiting for me to call out what you're dealing with, tune in next week. Whether it's finance, whether it's health, whether it's, put it this way, anything that you're dealing with that you see it happening and you can't feel like you don't have nothing to do about it. You hear it happening. You feel it happening. You even smell it happening. And you feel like you cannot do anything about it. Tune in next week. And anybody that know me, that grew up around me, Lance, they knew that they will tell you that one thing about him, he's serious about stuff like that. Now, he ain't gonna play no games with nobody's lives. I don't play no games like that, and then it's free. So what's to lose? So, but anyway, tune in next week, okay? I'm about to sign off. Tell someone, stop being selfish. If you know that this can help someone, tell them. You go back and look at Job. The Bible said that Job receives double for his trouble. Not because he prayed, not because he was so holy, not because he prayed for himself, not because he was so holy, not because of all this stuff, because he went to church and made the attendance roll every week and he did tithing off. None of that. Okay? Reason why he received double is because he prayed for his friends. He prayed for his friends. The Bible said he received double because he prayed for his friends. So if you know some friends that are dealing with this, family members, even if you ain't talking to your family members, and you have nothing to do with them, shoot them a text and say, hey, this is for you. And then if you don't want to talk to them, you can block their phone, call back, and be done with them, But, and say, hey, I did my part. But, you want to help somebody out. Just say, hey, listen to this guy, Lance. The one thing I can say that he's a straight up guy. When I knew him growing up, he was straight up. He's not no type of person to try to take from you or none of this stuff. He don't play no games. That's why he's different than what you see, when people teaching this religious stuff, because this is not religion what I'm teaching. This is spiritual stuff. That's why I don't subscribe to no religion. Okay? Jesus never subscribed to a religion. He never joined any religious organizations. Okay? He didn't. You didn't see him going around Easter egg hunting or nothing like that. He stuck to the scriptures and fulfilled the purpose in which he have come. All right? And all of that is inside of you. Love you. See you next week. I'm signing off. And tell someone, okay?